Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. I believe we're live, but let me just verify. I tell you what, why don't you verify on your channel, on your mighty channel, that we're live? Because for some reason I am not showing up live on my channel, so I can fix that potentially. So we shall see. Ah, look at that. Look at me being private. What the hell? Oh my God, mics. Focus. Save. There we go. All right, now in public. Greetings and aloha. What's going on, guys? It's Mike from LiveMyAssOff.com, and let's see.
Robbie, that's right.
Point the right
Robbie
way?
from Walking. Nope, the other way, buddy. Try it the other way.
Crap. Okay.
Man, I'll pick my ear. Robbie from Walking in My Shoes. Be sure to live your best life, because if you're not, you are not living.
Wow. Ain't that the truth?
It is totally the truth there. And I like how this comment came in right away, so I'm just going to show it.
Do it.
And it says, finally.
I know.
Finally. There it is. Finally,
They've been
yes,
waiting
we're back.
all week. All week, you guys.
All week. You know, it was 2 weeks the last time. So.
Well, yeah, but no, we did last week, which was good.
Yes. Yeah,
And,
so now we're weekly basis, guys. So every week, 8 p.m. Bangkok time, and Mike.
9 a.m. on the East Coast, 6 a.m. basically California, and you correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, that basically means we are 11 p.m. down in Oz, 3 a.m. in Hawaii. Daniel, good to see you. And Mariano from Germany, I'm thinking it's probably, what are you looking at, about 2 in the afternoon? But well, first of all, how about the Sox? You know my answer, no matter what there, Bobby, is basically that they're wicked pissed. And anyone else who has a problem with that, they can talk to my ma.
But guys, I'm a Dodger fan, so...
Are you? Okay.
There you go. I am a Dodger fan. Hey, 1,500 in Germany. Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you guys are watching this. See, that's my line, guys.
I know, dude. Way to open her.
So, you know what, guys? Mike and I were talking today, and maybe we'll get some feedback from you guys right now. It'd be kind of cool. Is what time would you guys prefer this show to air? So, real quick here, before you put in your answers, I've been asking around a couple people here in Pattaya, and they're saying 8 o'clock in the morning they prefer. So
8 o'clock a.m. Pattaya.
8 o'clock a.m. Pattaya. So you guys out there, kind of type it in and let us know what time you guys would prefer our show to be, because we're going to keep this going. We're going to keep rolling this out.
Well, first of all, Dave, let me just answer. I can see you, so I'm sorry if you can't see us. Good morning, Robert. Good to see you. So really right now, as far as timing goes, it's kind of like, okay, I'm physically in Boston, and I'm in my parents' backyard because I live with my parents, and in their basement. No. And what an honor it is to be able to, come back and just be with my folks like all summer. It's such a friggin' gift.
But not in the basement, buddy.
But not in the basement, yeah. In the cellar, as we say here in Boston, in the cellar. So for me, it's 9 a.m., right? And so that's selfishly very convenient. For Robbie, it's 8 p.m., which for him is probably pretty convenient. In about 2 weeks, I'm going to be back in Thailand, and Robbie's going to be on the West Coast, which arguably, if we kept the same time, would be 6 a.m. on the West Coast when you're back for a little bit. Yeah, exactly. And for you, that would probably be Bad News Bears. And so we will have to probably find a different time. I can absolutely do 8 a.m. Bangkok, which, of course, for you would be
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
On Friday.
Friday night. So, yeah. I mean, you'd be like, sorry, I got to leave the office early. Even though you're in charge.
I can do it. I am in charge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being the boss.
Indeed. Okay, we can see. Okay, there. So, Dave, we can see you. And 8 p.m. here. Where? Is that Toronto that you meant to type roof pizza? Were you saying, let's see, 8 p.m. there? I mean, does that mean you're in Thailand? I don't know. Let's see. Let me make sure. Fuerteventura Is that like in Mexico or is that okay? Wait, no, 1400. So that's going to be Spain.
What is that? Two?
I mean, what if they're only a global
Two.
information network that I could look up? Fuerteventura. Is that Spain or
That's what, noon?
1400? No, that's 2 p.m.
2 p.m. Sorry, yeah, 2 p.m. 2 p.m.
I will say too that one of the things that we reached out, or I reached out, I actually don't know if you did this or not, but on my community tab, I said, hey, so throw any questions you have up there. One of the questions I got as relative to flying to Thailand, so maybe we can start with that, and then we'll talk a little bit more about being there, what it costs, how your trip is going. What do you do on these damn long flights? Now, we each have a different experience. So I tell you what, why don't we start with like what you do on the super long flight and how you sort of survive it. I know one of the things you did is video about like, hey, this is my experience in business class. But talk a little bit more like to that point, like, how do you survive the 14-hour leg or the 12-hour one?
Oh, I actually love this topic. And then, guys, hang in there. After we get done with this, Daniel did ask a good one, which I'm going to post it right here. But so before we get to Daniel's, just because this airline was something I talked about in one of my previous videos, so definitely go take a peek at it. So on my first trip, let's start with that. In 2019, I flew coach. Guys, nothing wrong with coach. I actually really enjoyed.
There's no freaking leg room.
Well, hold on. There isn't much leg room, and I'm not even that tall. I'm 5'10", sort of.
Ish.
5'10" laying down. Anyways,
Morgan.
That's it. No. So on a long flight, flying in coach, I brought my, of course, an iPad mini, which I'm glad I did because the TV system did not work on United. Yeah. I know, right? It was totally broken.
United.
So everywhere on the plane had no TV connection. And guys, I hate flying. I'm not a big fan of flying. But anyways, one of the things I learned is getting up and walking around. So I got up and did laps throughout the plane. I tried to sleep. I really struggled with that. With all that being said, I didn't have a great flight over. And nor did I have a great flight coming back with lots of turbulence. I hate flying.
Yeah, turbulence.
So this last trip, I used my airline miles to buy into a business class flight overseas. And you guys, worth, in my opinion, every darn penny of using not all my miles, but 30,000 miles is a lot.
Yeah, that is actually, well, for upgrade to upgrade to business class, that's actually a pretty good deal.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't bad. And I slept and I ate great food. And then I had to fly ANA coach from Tokyo to Bangkok, which is another 6 hours. Now, ANA, if you guys have flown before, ANA, in my opinion, is freaking awesome. It's great. It's Japanese airline. Awesome. So what did I do? I mean, I enjoyed the service on ANA. They fed us twice. Couldn't believe it. I mean, we were eating the whole freaking time. You get on the plane, they're giving you a wet nap with some Asian crackers and water and tea, by the way. We got tea served 3 times. and
how very
the
Japanese.
Cutest Asian girls, you guys. The cutest. I see somebody.
They're all the same size.
EVA, all the same size, tiny. Right. By the way, Kitty, the girl who my Thai girlfriend, one of her dream jobs was to be a stewardess. So it's kind of cool. So to answer that question, I try to sleep as much as I can because I hate flying. Business class was epic. Again, I did a full video on that. Go back on my videos and take a peek. And pretty awesome. But Mike, I want to definitely get to that question before we go too far that I posted earlier.
Your question or Daniel's?
No, Daniel's question, just because it popped right up and I'm like, oh, this is great. First time visitor. And that's really what this channel, the show is all about, is Mike is kind of walking me through my journey as I'm doing my own journey. He did his, but he's really helping me out. And one of the things that we discussed about, and Mike can tell you, and he liked it because it was like reliving his journey, is a first time visitor in Thailand. Where do you go? What do you do? Is 2 weeks long enough? So Mike, if you want to answer part of it, and then we'll kind of go back and forth, that's cool. So give us your opinion.
For sure.
Based on that question.
So for first-time visitors, I will tell you that I had... so I suffer from contempt prior to investigation about a number of things, okay? Meaning I have preconceived notions, right? And sadly, sometimes they're negative. I'm working on that. But the thing about the long flight is, like Robbie said, I was very surprised. My first flight over, I actually took Thai Airways when they used to fly from Los Angeles. And customer service was excellent. And again, most Asian carriers, quite frankly, sans the ones that are sort of, homed in China, are quite excellent. So EVA, Taiwan, which is a Taiwanese airline, ANA, JAL, Japan Airlines, JAL, right? I mean, and they're really, really good. So I was initially thinking, oh my God, this is going to be horrible. And like Robbie said, they feed you every 2 hours. There was movies, like constantly, and I watched like 5 or 6 movies. The seats are imperfect, but yeah, I mean, if you can afford it without being distracted, is the way that I describe it, for anything, quite frankly. I mean, in other words, if this might cost $4,000, this would be very distracting for me. The good news is it was like 40. But things like that, like if it's only 30,000 points and you've got them, right, to like upgrade. I did the exact same thing on EVA, and business class for them is amazing. There's like LEDs in the ceiling. They give you down comforter, Bose headphones. And so I would just say that if it's not going to distract you and it's your first time over, because you don't want to be disappointed when you get there, nor like hung over, if you will, from jet lag, because that will delay your life like 2 days at least. So one of the things, though, that I wish people had told me before I left for my first trip is do all of these things before you get on the plane. If you're a U.S. person and if you truly believe that you are only coming to Thailand one time, fine. Grab your passport, cruise over, get stamped in for your 2 weeks, cruise home, awesome. And then your next trip is to France or Germany or whatever. But if you have even the slightest belief that you will be leaving the United States and wanting to get back in more than twice, I highly recommend that you apply for global entry via the Trusted Traveler Program. Simply just Google that. Trusted Traveler Program or Google Global Entry or whatever, because it's basically a privilege, an ID you get, which lasts 5 years. It's $100, and I've never had to wait literally any more than 60 seconds to get back into the United States. And when you land back in LAX or SFO or Boston or New York City or whatever, and there's a plane and it's normal, which travel is starting to get normal again, and there's 350 people on your plane, and there's 10 other planes. And a lot of those people, most of those people, do not have global entry, which means they basically go in the coach line, if you will, to get back into the United States, which can be 2 hours sometimes. I remember one time I got off my plane in LAX, and the line literally started at the gate to get all the way to immigration. I would have paid $100 that day to get through to immigration really fast. So anyway, if you have the ability to do that, if you want any more information on that, LiveMyAssOff@gmail.com, and that goes for a whole bunch of stuff that we talk about today. And for Robbie, I got it right this time. Robbie, Walking in My Shoes 2020@gmail.com for him. When you get over here, let's say for the sake of argument, you have 2 weeks. Yeah, I get how that is like a vacation if you're from the U.S. and you're traveling in the U.S. Like if you're in the U.S. and even if you have to take like a 6 or 7 hour flight to get to Hawaii, staying in Hawaii for 2 weeks is epic. That's amazing. Again, if you can afford it and you're not distracted by the cost. 2 weeks in Southeast Asia is adequate if you're willing to basically stay in 1 or 2 cities. And I say that because a lot of people come over, right? You probably experienced this. Guys come over like, oh, dude, I'm going to do Chiang Mai and then Bangkok. And then I got this tour. We're going to go over to Cambodia. Then I'm going to swing down to Phuket. You're going to spend your entire life on a plane in an airport, and you're not going to enjoy Thailand. I would highly recommend. And again, this is my recommendation. Robbie can give you his, and then, other folks can chime in. I would recommend being very focused on enjoying where you are. Well, in general. But when you come to Thailand, you're going to come into Bangkok, probably. There's a 90% chance that's where you're going to fly into, unless you're really like, no, I'm just going to Phuket, screw everywhere else. But stay there for at least 2 nights, meaning Bangkok. And then if you have another city that you want to go to, like for Robbie, he's like, yeah, Bangkok, then I'm going to go down to Jomtien, because of course he's got a condo now. But like on his first trip, he's like, oh my God, I've watched all these videos. Clearly, I need to go to Pattaya. And that's cool too. But I would argue that because of so much newness that you are going to be feeling in every aspect, in the way that you shave at the sink in your hotel, because there's probably only going to be cold water, to the 30 cents you need to pay to sit in the back of a pickup truck to get 2 kilometers down the beach, or 8 kilometers over to Jomtien from Pattaya. All of that stuff, to the way that you interface with girls, to the way that you speak a different language and get a different currency, and all of this stuff. And I would submit the last thing you want to do is be distracted by, oh my God, I've only got 4 or 5 days left, and then I got to go to the airport and fly down, right? So, but as far as go ahead.
No, I was going to share an experience on my very first trip, but
yeah, okay, cool. So let me just finish this one thing. Is that I would say is that design the place that you really have interest in based on any information or research that you've done, and focus on being there. If after 3 days you absolutely hate it, I get it. Don't ruin your whole vacation by sucking it up and like staying in, Jomtien. If you hate it, you're like, I hate beaches, I hate sand, I hate water, I hate free food. Okay, great. But for the most part, I would say, really do that. Do as much research as you can ahead of time. But just like anything else, be flexible. Be comfortable being flexible, because you're going to have to be comfortable with other people's accents and other people's way of doing things and the other culture stuff. But yeah, share your experience, like your first trip.
Yeah. So, Daniel, on your question, the 2-week thing. So my first trip was designed to only be 2.5 weeks. That was originally the plan. Ended up being over 2 months. That's what it ended up being. But let me tell you, Mike is absolutely right. Having that plan, the first 2 weeks, being jet lagged, I flew in, got in at 1 o'clock in the morning. Once we got in Bangkok, I had a private taxi driver take me, Kerwin, by the way, that's her name, Kerwin Taxi Service, take me directly to Pattaya. And I was so amped up. So we got in at about, so what is that, 1 o'clock, so 3:30 in the morning. And this is 2019. And we stayed at the Red Planet, I believe it is, on, in the
Pattaya?
Worst place to stay, guys. Yes, in Pattaya.
Yeah, second road.
Worst.
Do not stay the Red Planet ever.
Oh, fuck, that was horrible. If I can say that word, I guess I just did.
Horrible? But anyways, absolutely. Use horrible when necessary.
Yeah, no, I mean, saying fuck. It was a bad experience. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was amped up, and I ended up walking down to Soi 6, which was happening, and we met several expats. It was just all closing down, I guess, for whatever, at 4 in the morning, and I met a fella named Six Pack, which I'll have to show you guys a picture why we call him Six Pack. The dude has a tattoo across his whole entire body of a 6-pack of beer. And pretty cool. Anyways,
I know a place where he can go for 1 hour a day.
Yeah. And then the next 2 days, I pretty much slept. I mean, I got up to go eat and drink and pee, and then I pretty much slept. After that, by the time I was pretty much getting used to Pattaya, it was time to go home. So it took about 10 days. I loved Pattaya. We did lots of stuff. So for a first timer, I knocked out all the tourist stuff. Elephants, tigers, which, by the way, I really enjoyed it. A lot of people hated me for going to the tiger thing because they're on drugs, but I loved holding that little cat thing. Girls, so, I mean, I'm not going to BS you guys. I went there knowing that I'm going to pick up on Thai girls, and it was pretty awesome. I loved it. Went to a Muay Thai professional bout that was televised. I mean, I did stuff every single day. So for a new guy, I experienced the bars and girls the first couple of days once I was recovered. And then I went to tigers, elephants. I did all the tourist stuff because I knew I wanted to get those kind of done and out of the way.
Was it too much?
So, no, I really enjoyed it. And then after that first 10 days, I flew out to Phuket to go scuba diving. And it was nonstop, and it was a lot. It was very wearing, if that makes sense. So if you're to go to my website right now, wimsmedia.com, you'll see in November Yeah, whimsmedia.com. I have a trip planned for first timers mainly, guys going to Pattaya, but it's a full tour itinerary of stuff I did on my last couple trips. So if you were to go to my website, you can check out exactly what we did. You can see how much things cost, and it's pretty cool. So, and that's why I posted it because, like you guys, well, I think like some of you guys, man, I binged watched tons of YouTube to find out what am I gonna do. Mike, especially. Mike's a little different, and that's a whole nother great topic, though, because when I was watching Mike's, I was watching Mike's because of this attitude he had of a gratitude attack.
Yeah,
and
right.
Not just that hit me more emotionally than, hey, I'm going to go to pick up on some bars at LK Metro or some bar girls or
sex sells, like right? But after you sort of, as I've referred to it before, get the Pattaya out of your system, then like you mentioned in one of the videos we'll show you guys, is I did all that, and now I have this amazing, normal, trustworthy, non-bar girlfriend, and she's friggin' spectacular. I am married to a Filipina that I met after, a few years of like traveling around Southeast Asia and being like, wow, she's amazing. And now she's Mrs. Somerville. Thank you, God.
Yeah. And then 2 weeks. 2 weeks is barely long enough. Do you agree, Mike?
I think that's the now I will say the majority of guys aren't like, oh, it's only been 2 weeks, this is not enough, I'm gonna stay 2 months. Now guys, look, the reality of Robbie's I did it right the first time. Of Robbie's life is probably less common. Mine was probably the most common. In other words, more common. I worked at university, and so therefore we got a ton of vacation, but also like our business is basically closed between Christmas and New Year's. So there's kind of like almost 10 days where effectively you don't really need to take vacation day. So the bottom line is I took like a month off almost. I did 3 weeks in Thailand and then another week coming home in Maui, realized that this was a complete waste of money and time of my 4-week vacation. I should have spent 4 weeks in Thailand. But if you are going to come for 2 weeks, again, if you go to one place, you said it wasn't too bad, but then you also used the phrase you felt sort of worn out for all of the things. So I would say, again, do as much as you possibly can. Yeah. I'm very curious. I have never just slept for 2 days going over there. For some reason, flying that direction, I do not get jet lag at all. So what was...
I got sick. I think I got sick too.
Geez,
so I did, so on day... So we partied the whole night, got in 5 a.m, slept till probably 1 o'clock.
Okay.
And then we went out to have pad thai the first day and did the tourist restaurants. That night I had what they call Bali belly, and I had to go to the Pattaya hospital on I want to say it was Soi 3. Mike, help me out here. Soi 3?
Would you have like traveler's diarrhea?
I had something going on, and they gave me all sorts of...
Pattaya International Hospital.
On Soi 3, I think it is. 3. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's 3. 3 or 4.
Yeah, it was toilet
Great
time. Let's see here. Roof Pizza knew exactly what I was getting at. There we go. And toilet time it was. And so it really wasn't the jet lag. I was tired, but I was a little sick. Okay. And we had a full itinerary. Mike, we had that first day, I want to say we did the baby tiger and Muay Thai boxing that same day.
Yeah.
The next day, we went to some laser show that they no longer do in Pattaya. Really amazing. I wish I knew what it was called. It cost 800 baht. It was like lasers and dancing and all sorts of cool stuff. On
Walking Street? Or
no, it was inland. It was towards the dark side of Thailand.
Okay.
They no longer do it anymore.
Bummer.
And then we did Muay Thai boxing the next day, and then we did that huge show. It was about the Thailand history. Did some large production show, and then we did Non Nook Garden. Okay. We did so many tourist things the first time. And you guys, that doesn't take into account the Soi 6 bars and partying all night long.
Sure.
So I was pretty exhausted. I like how it says 1 month minimum unless you are working.
Yeah.
In which, 1 month is a great, man, if you can do it.
I get that. I will say though, 2.5, 3 weeks is, so here's the thing. you may go to Thailand and be like, oh my God, because trust me, like, it's not even as hot and humid as it is in Bangkok right now. But where I am in this part of the world, New England, everyone is freaking. There are literally shops that are outdoors that sent us emails like yesterday saying, oh my God, it's going to be so hot today. We're closed. Okay, because we have to like sit underneath umbrellas. And I'm like, dude, it's like 85.
It's humid today, Mike.
21. Jeez. Right. But the point is that you may get to that and be like, oh my God, these guys talked about all this stuff, but I watched those videos from Maine in November. I wasn't expecting this ridiculously hot, and you may hate that, so you may leave. But I would submit to you that if you're watching this channel and you're anything like Robbie or I, the last thing you're going to want to do is leave. And if you have to leave, the first thing you're going to do is figure out how the hell to get back there. I was looking up flights on return. I have never, because in the U.S., let me ask you this, Robbie. In the U.S., for the most part, we get like 2 weeks vacation a year. Again, different for me at a university, different for you because you're a business owner, right? So you can take time off, but again, if you don't work, you don't eat, right? That's the consultant's curse.
That's it, yeah.
And so let's, for the sake of argument, say, you get 2-3 weeks off and you go on vacation and then you're like, cool. And then you potentially think, okay, well, I'll do that again next year. That was so awesome in Kauai. We're going to Kauai next year. You don't usually fly home and say, I am going back to that exact spot 90 days from now, and I am staying even longer than I did the first time. That is not the vacation paradigm for most U.S. workers.
But that is what I did here.
Yeah. And so, again, you and I are very similar in our behaviors. But I think don't get too wrapped up in, oh my God, Mike's and Robbie are basically living there, and I need to do that or I'm not going to enjoy myself. Absolutely not. You can totally enjoy yourself in less than a month. But just don't obsess about traveling. I would just.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you say that. So my first trip, I went solo. However, I told a couple of friends, hey, I'm going. You want to come? Jump. Here's my flight information. And sure enough, 3 of my buddies ended up flying out, not on the same flight as me, but like 1 or 2 days after me. And one of them only had 10 days. Now, he flew in and it was nonstop party until he flew out. And so, and he even said it wasn't long enough. Now, he's a guy, a Californian guy, firefighter. He doesn't have any longer than 10 days, so he didn't have a choice. But he said he had an epic time. So even if it's a short time, you can still have a wonderful time on your first trip. It really depends on where you're at on your walk or your journey.
Yeah.
So for me personally, I was going to Thailand feeling like I had to search for something. I was missing something in my own personal life or my own personal walk, whatever that might be. Going through my own personal issues with divorce and being my kidless with my son going off into the military. I had time, and I'm a business owner, like Mike said. I don't get 2 weeks vacation. If I don't work, I don't eat. However, I did plan this. I booked in April for a November trip. If that tells you how much time I had to think about it, meditate it. I mean, it was pretty freaking amazing. So first trip, definitely do it up, guys. If you haven't been here, I say go and wear yourself out. I mean, have a great time.
Again, if you're like guys say, what's the best advice? And of course, my best advice is don't be an idiot. Which of course,
great advice,
broad brush. But the point is that again, you're in a different country, and try and be as appropriate as possible. Quite frankly, I believe I have at least some degree of responsibility as a foreigner with a U.S. passport or Canadian passport, for that matter, that I should be sort of an ambassador of my culture. And because I can tell you that there are plenty of Chinese that don't believe they need to be anything but obnoxious and ridiculous, which arguably was how many Americans were seen in foreign countries years ago. Those dirty Americans, those loud Americans. I can tell you, spoiler alert, the Chinese have absolutely upped the bar on being loud and obnoxious. Maybe they don't drink as much, but they don't need to, apparently. No judgment. But you know, I like to sort of take it all in. And the other thing I will say, and let me know if you did this, Robbie, if possible, and I'm not saying like get a girl or whatever, but get a tour guide. And by that, I mean someone who can like teach you the like, I mean, if you leave there after 2 weeks and you don't know how to say savadi krap or savadi makrap or kapku makrap.
Even if you screw it up, guys, because I butchered the crap out of it.
But if you just like throw it out there, I mean, then you haven't been listening, you know? And it's like you can listen to something, but you don't hear, you know? There's so much available to really open your eyes. That's the other thing I will say is that I don't know if this is a requirement for people that just go 2.5 weeks. But man, when I got home, I had a much different view of my surroundings here in the U.S. I had the feeling of, oh my God, there's so much more opportunity here that a lot of us are like just saying, oh yeah, well, I'm going to get Social Security and I'm going to do this. I'm not going to work, you know. And you go over there and people are like, man, my dream is to open up a little shop in my hometown and like sell powdered milk. And if I can do that, like that'll be really good. And then I would say, great, that's a great dream. If that's what you want to do, do it. How come you're not doing it? Oh, I could never do that. And I was like, okay, I was brought up thinking if I get the resources and I have the support, I can literally do anything I want.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you didn't, but I think a lot
you guys,
of us...
that's a boom up top high five moment right there. And boom, if you can do it, and you do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you fail, well, then you fail.
You fail.
And you do it again.
But at least you're trying. At least you're doing it.
Yeah, I guess. And I don't know. I saw a lot less of that. I see even less of it in the Philippines, and it just breaks my heart. Oh, I can never do that. Yeah. No, I can't. No, we can't do that. And we don't have the money.
I hate that.
I absolutely have not had the money to do stuff. But I never said, oh, I can't do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I'm the same way. And you guys, I really struggled booking this trip. I mean, it took somebody to say, hey, why don't you go to Thailand? And then I started watching YouTube videos, and that's what it took. I binge watched freaking videos. And again, not to BS you guys, I saw the hottest chicks. And I'm like, dude, I'm 50 years old. I'm not going to get these girls. I was 48, I think. But there's no way I'm going to score these girls. My first day here, it wasn't an issue. So,
no.
I mean, I came over here with part of the intention that is going to happen. And then going back to what Mike said, getting a tour guide, if you're not paying attention or whatever. I actually bought one who hit on me, and she was smoking hot, thinking I was hiring her for sex.
I
was like, no. Come at 8 a.m, teach me some Thai, and then take me around on your motor scooter. And it was pretty amazing because after that got done at 5 p.m., we went to the Muay Thai boxing match with a different girl and smoking hot. Oh my gosh, smoking hot. So that was my first trip, guys. So
honestly, I think that your scenario of I was beaten up and emotionally disappointed, maybe a little confused. I'm not going to throw, judgment or certainly not judgment, but I'm also not going to throw assessment of it. Beaten up potentially, and it seems again. I lived in Southern California for 30 years, and the pastime is getting divorced.
Yeah,
51% of all marriages, right? And so
that's right.
The and
65% of marriage too. So
yeah, right. And you can feel beat up about that. I will tell you that I was going through my own sort of metamorphosis in the sense that I had just gotten my master's degree and I started this new coaching business and I was working with people and they were like giving me a little bit more because the people that I was working with were more international, let's say, than I was normally used to. Additionally, I was working at a university, and at that time I had been working at a university for at least 7 years. I was working at the university. So there's a lot of international students, right? And you start interfacing with these, and you get this like little, oh, wait, you know what? Maybe Thailand isn't this backwards third world country. Maybe I should cruise over there. I also had influencers just like Robbie. There was my buddy Eddie, and he would be like, Mickey, you got to, he would call Mickey, you got to go to Thailand. You got to go to Thailand. You got to go to Thailand. And of course I was like, but dude, the flight is so long.
Long flight.
And I had also gone through the metamorphosis that I think a lot of YouTube channels touch on this. They have like the minimalists, for example, Patty Doyle's initial channel, right? And it's like I don't need, like I went from a 2-bedroom house to a 4-bedroom house to that one 4-bedroom house, 3 more houses in Mexico, 5 cars, a Rolls Royce, a Range Rover, 2 convertibles, and of course a Honda Civic, because you got to have a reliable car to take all your junk cars into the mechanic. But I could not buy myself happiness for the life of me. And for some reason, I don't know, maybe I saw it on YouTube, but for some reason, I got to the point where it's like, I'm selling my house. I'm going to get a bitchin' backpack. I'm going to move closer to the San Diego airport and live in like a 1-bedroom, which was 500 square feet, I think, which is about, actually, it's smaller than our current condo. So it's about 40 square meters. And I was so happy. Had I been forced to do that 5 or 6 years prior, it might have been pretty damn uncomfortable. Like, I mean, like, let's go back 6 years, Robbie. I'm just curious. It's 6 years ago. You've never watched one YouTube video. You've certainly never heard some crazy guy talk about having a gratitude attack and be like, what? And you're working. You're working. Yeah. Your son's doing his thing. You got your thing. You're dating people potentially. You're going out to dinner. You're going to your men's group. You're paying $250 for a steak. And you're doing the American thing. If somebody come up to you and said, dude, here's what you do. You need to get rid of your BMW. You need to get a Ford van. And you need to buy this bitchin' orange backpack. And you need to cruise over to Thailand and live in a 35, 40 square meter condo right on the beach for $400. You would have been like, dude, do you know
it's not real.
Yeah. Well, and you'd also be like, that would suck. I don't want to do that. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, talk about that. What I mean, if all of this has been presented to you, let's say 6-7 years ago, what do you think you would have said?
So 7 years ago was the year I went through my divorce. So it was 2017. And I would have said, hell no. I love my BMW. I earned it. I worked hard. I owned my own business for 10 years. And as an entrepreneur before that, and, you know, having the responsibility of employees and several clients, you know, 10 employees at that time. Well, at that time, yeah, I think I was like 9 or 10 at that time. And, you know, I loved my BMW. There's no freaking way I was getting rid of that car to go live in Thailand. What was Thailand?
Exactly.
It wasn't. And then my divorce. And what happened is this guy who, actually, a whole nother story, I won't go too far off, was a potential lawsuit I was going through. He was a guy who traveled to Thailand, and, you know, we ended up becoming friends. Actually, it started out as a lawsuit against my company, or a threatening of a lawsuit, to now we're good friends. And he says, why don't you come to Thailand? Because he saw me post what I call my marriage obituary. Okay. So if you guys don't know what a marriage obituary is, it's imagine you dying and then you're posting about and it's just a marriage going away. That's all it is. He saw that and he goes, you got to go to Thailand. I wasn't thinking changing my life when I came here. Right. I was just thinking, shoot, I'm going to meet some hot Thai chicks. I'm going to party. And I don't even drink, guys. I mean, I did then a little bit too much, but I partied a lot. I'm going to go scuba diving. I'm going to meet some hot girls. I think maybe. I mean, I'm 48 years old at the time going, I might. But there was no way in hell I was selling my BMW, giving up the nice house. Right. And my kid is just now getting ready to move out. And no way. And the fact of the matter is, guys, I wasn't living my best life. And after coming here for those 2 months, I'm like, dude, I could live here. Yeah. I mean, I think that's where you are going with that. And you guys, I saw a comment here that says, we are all beat up sometimes. I'm just going to put that out there. There it is. He's actually there. Yeah. And you're right. You got to think forward and have more forward. And I've always been that way, guys. I don't let people beat me up too long. I'm okay with it because I always get the hell up. That's what life's all about, is getting up. And I'm a firm believer of that gratitude and living your best life. I have been that way for the longest time. Positive energy, positive thinking. And I was feeling pretty crappy for a while. So coming here completely, I mean, like, had I known this 7 years ago, that would be like, you guys are crazy. That's
Yeah.
like committing suicide, right?
I think that's sort of I mean, look, if you guys don't know, right? So one of the big changes in my life occurred about 30 years ago, and that's when I got sober. And that's a big change in lifestyle if you are like me, meaning one drink is never enough and a million, or, anyway, a million is not too many. A million's not enough. And at that time, like, I was willing to pretty much do anything, but I had to be really, really beaten down. In other words, I didn't start, down a path of recovery because I had one night of bad drinking with my buddies and skinned my knee. I mean, this was years of committing suicide on the installment plan, basically, especially emotionally and spiritually. But the point is that, things like that, I think, in my life have needed to happen to really open up my eyes to some things. Now, the good news about me coming to Thailand wasn't like, oh my God, I got to get away from stuff. Like, one of the phrases that I use that I love when people say is that, look, no matter where you go, you're taking yourself with you. And that's like those guys that come to Thailand and they complain about everything. And like I was saying to you earlier this morning, it's like, look, dude, whether you're living in Pattaya or Pittsburgh, you're complaining about whatever's around you. You don't care. Nothing's going your way. But I think that Pattaya offers the opportunity to have a better life, even if you're just a little open to it. Like, even if you come over and you're in a bad mood, and you hate everybody, and everyone's out to get you, you can come over and you can be like, wow, this really isn't so bad. This is peak. And there are plenty of things in Thailand. You might be like, I hate this. Everyone drives on the sidewalk. There's way too many cables. Like, as an electrical engineer, trust me, like when I look up, I'm going, you got to be kidding me. Like, all this copper can be replaced with one piece of fiber, right? And I mean, so, it's an opportunity, but again, no one's on this live stream because you're like, dude, Bermuda's my place. You guys are morons. I'm going to watch this entire live stream. And then I'm going to walk away and say, nope, they're wrong. My God, don't shave your head, whatever you do. And, so, I mean, again, we're preaching to some degree of choir, right?
Yeah.
But, I think that, again, the other opportunities. So you kind of like get out of your rut. Let's just, for the sake of argument, we'll call it that. But then I don't know about you, but I think you did this too. After a while, you start looking for like other opportunities. You're like, okay, cool. Like, I've gotten over my divorce. The obituary is now filed in the archives. And I've done what I needed to do. And I maybe got the Pattaya out of my system, or I did whatever, and I've done the tigers and elephants, and I'm not going to do that every weekend. And then you're like, at least for me, wow, there's like business opportunity here. And then you start having these discussions with people, and they're like, oh my God, I never knew that was even possible. And you're thinking, dude, this has been in the U.S. for like 15 years. Like, I could literally just take this and bring it over to here, and people would be like, delivery of food with an app? What are you guys, crazy? Right? And then all of a sudden, blows. So there's, I think, neat things about that. And I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I did with my business.
What's that?
Yeah. That's about what I did with my business. Is I took my business structure and I'm currently transforming it so I could live here full time.
That's another thing I think, what, let's talk about that, because I think a lot of guys like fall on my channel or your channel, and they're like, okay, so one day he woke up and he had everything, and then the following Tuesday he sold everything, and his business magically morphed into having Filipino employees versus
I wish.
It's like, it's a full-on transition. And people are like, oh my God, why did you like leave your job making over 100K? You're doing this IT, flying around the world. Michael tells your buddy, oh my God, you're on stage. And it's like, dude, it didn't happen between Wednesday and Saturday. I mean, this was like 2 years. I kind of wish it did, though. Sure. But, it's funny. One of the things that we say in, the recovery program I'm in is like, you come in and all of a sudden you want 10 years sobriety. You just like, you know what? I want to like have every.
I want like, that keychain, baby.
I want the keychain. I want the brass ring. I want it immediately because I want instant gratification. And what I always say to the new guys is like, dude, you would explode You would explode if you went through all of the things you need to go through in your first 10 years of sobriety to get 10 years of sobriety. Because you got to have your first sober kiss and your first sober movie and your first sober real conversation with your parents and your banker. And you got to pay the IRS for the first time or whatever. But you got to do all these things. And like, I will tell you, I love Thailand and I fantasized about making Thailand my home. And I had Gracie with me and we were planning a life. And when we came back here to visit my folks in 2019 in the summer, it was not even on the project plan that November I would be moving to Thailand permanently, quitting my job and all this. And a series of things happened. I basically got a new boss, if you will, and he was a jackass. And he limited my creativity, and I said, this is ridiculous. And I knew that there was an opportunity, right? Because I knew there was a pandemic coming. Everyone planned for that. No, but I mean, the opportunity in Thailand, there was enough of it, you know?
Yeah, so, you know, you mentioned something that I guess a lot of these guys might be going through. It isn't an overnight, hey, I'm going to change my life. It's something, this is why this show exists. Mike has actually been helping me kind of process this, what I'm doing. Now, regardless of Mike, great guy, I'd do it anyways, right? But it's a different problem. Having somebody to help you along, to kind of coach you along, I don't care if it's even YouTube, do it. Because this process is something in the makings of the past couple of years with the goal date of 2023.
Okay.
Of being full-time. November will be 2023. However, that process is taking time. So this November, which is 2022, my plan is to be here 6 straight months. I do have to go back and clean up some business pieces. You know, sell some pieces off, basically.
Yeah.
But, you know, like Mike said, I had to sell my car, and I bought a Ford. I know, it's killing me, by the way. There's no more BMW kicking ass car. So if you guys have ever driven the
you didn't have like a 300 series from the 80s. You had like an hour and a half old M3.
Brand new car, yes.
Yeah, M5.
Yeah, I had the 3.
Okay. Yeah. Only.
Yeah, I like the
It was
smaller
only
cars.
$80,000.
Yeah, give or take. Great car. Love the car. Had the cool paint job, the whole thing. And cars I've owned before that, the little hot rod roasters and some other fun stuff. Giving up all those things, selling them. You know, I had to take on this van. I'm going to go back to the United States in the next few weeks, and I'm going to be driving a freaking van back and forth to the office as I'm navigating my senior management team. And like Mike said, you know, you can't just do it overnight. So I've taken my USA only team and transplanted, or basically redesigned it to where I have 5 full-time Filipinos who work for me, which I'm headed over to the Philippines real soon here. And I mean, it's a process for sure.
Right.
So, and I am going to retire here. Is it full-time retirement? It's really not. It's manipulated retirement. How can I say that? Because I'm not allowed to work here legally.
Well, not yet. I wasn't either,
So,
but I am now.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where it's designing a lifestyle around income and different responsibilities. And it takes time, guys. Even if you don't own a business and you have a job, I mean, I'm watching some of these YouTubers do it on their military pensions, and it's crazy the lifestyle they have. And I'm like in awe going, what? I mean, the Chocolate Man, great guy. I mean, I met the guy a couple of times. I like the guy, cool dude. I don't know him that personally, other than he's really great on his Facebook. I mean, that's Facebook, his YouTube sharing stuff.
Yeah.
But the dude's on his 22 years or 20 plus years of Air Force. And then he makes a little bit of money on YouTube. And his lifestyle, I'm thinking, I want to do that.
Right.
That's pretty cool. I mean, so, yeah, this is what I'm going through. It takes time to get there, to find that path, to do it. And so, yeah, that 1 week, kind of wish sometimes 1 week. But you know what? The process has been freaking awesome. I've really enjoyed it. And Kitty's part of that process, which is my Thai girlfriend, and which we will get into that a little bit, I'm sure.
So Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I said to guys, I said, look, don't come over here and commit financial suicide to just have a really nice 1 month vacation, because then you're really gonna. I mean, I have very good friends actually, and they came over to Thailand and they got a job and they were making, years ago, right, like 4 years ago, when everyone was able to throw up a YouTube channel and make like $3,000 a month, right, and then the algorithm changed, then of course the popularity, and it's like a red ocean now. There's a ton of people. But they had to leave Thailand, and having to leave Thailand and not being able to come back to Thailand effectively because of financial reasons or whatever. I mean, it's one thing if it's a health thing and it's just like, look, you can't, but let's say for the sake of argument, it's just we're talking about if it's a financial reason, that I feel this guy's frustration that he can't just go online and book. Because I mean, let's face it, you can get a round trip ticket for like $600 if you're willing to fly on a Tuesday and like have a 48-hour layover or whatever. You can get to
fly
Thailand.
Filipino Air, Filipino Air.
Absolutely, which I would highly recommend against. Although the one nice thing about them is that they do have LA to Manila nonstop. It's
pretty fast.
That's kind of nice, but nonetheless, they're pretty incompetent. So there's a lot to be said for just planning. And quite frankly, this is just like life advice, right? You don't buy a 5 Series BMW, with extra cool ass paint if you're working at Home Depot making $19 an hour, and there's nothing wrong with working at Home Depot making $19 an hour because it's a pretty world-class company, and your ability to grow in that company over, say, 15 to 20 years is available to you. They will educate you, and you will be able to basically buy food, and live. But if you have the desire to basically take 2 weeks off every 2 months, then that's not the place you need to work. So there's a lot of, I think, but again, the opportunities that are available in Thailand, I had no idea. I mean, again, I totally sold that place short. The other thing I will say, and as you mentioned, you're going to go to the Philippines. Once you get to Thailand, let's say you just want a new environment, or maybe you hate it, but let's go for the sake of argument. You just want to, to get on a plane in Bangkok and cruise over to Da Nang, Vietnam for lunch for the weekend is not expensive. And I think, yes. And I think that that's another thing that people don't think. Like, in other words, if you come to the U.S., right, and let's say you're here with me in Boston, and you're like, I hate mosquitoes, I don't like the ocean, I am a Montana guy. So you get online and you're like, okay, well, I can fly to Montana, but it's, it's like $350. Well, if you just like Bangkok and you want to fly to the beach in Da Nang, it's $35. What did I say for Montana? Did I say $350? I meant to have it
Something
be
like
large.
that.
The point is, it's more expensive to just do everything.
Yeah.
And that's another really nice opportunity. But you know what? I think, actually, I tell you what, let's do this. I want to take a look at some of the comments. I want to make sure we pretty much answered everything thus far. And what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to take a little break here because I'm going to go to the restroom. But I will say, I actually wanted to shout out this company because they're the cooler that I'm using that I keep reaching down to. Basically, It's Lifestyle Juicery. And lifestylejuicery.com. If you are in Bangkok, lifestylejuicery.com, I highly recommend. They're basically the first advertiser, if you will, for the spot, for Robbie and I, for our weekly show. And they gave me this cooler as part of buying their juices. And they make fresh squeezed juice. They deliver it to your home every other day because it is so fresh. You don't want it to let it sit in your fridge for like more than about 3 days. So lifestylejuicery.com, if you guys are there, you can sign up. The CEO's name is Jamie. He's a really, really good friend, great guy. He basically hails from Denmark, but he grew up in New York. And he's a really, really honest guy. He's awesome. He went to high school in Singapore, very worldly, but he understands customer service big time, and they excel at customer service. And they will give you basically your juice in these sort of padded, if you will, thermos-like bags. And so anyways, I just wanted to shout out those guys, but I also wanted to just sort of throw this, this break together. It's going to take about 3 minutes, and Robbie and I are going to go do a little bit of stuff, and then we'll come back. How's that sound, buddy?
Sounds great. Let's do it.
All right, let's go for it.
Greetings and aloha. What's going on? It's Mike from LiveMyAssOff.com. On behalf of Gracie and Robbie and Kitty, we all want to thank you for watching the live stream. Robbie, of course, from Walking in My Shoes, Thailand. Me, of course, from LiveMyAssOff.com. Hanging out here. I'm actually currently in the Boston area. I'm in Hingham, Massachusetts, and I'm just kind of hanging out, and I wanted to take some time out here. Both of us wanted to do one of these and, you know, take a little break and basically say, first of all, thank you so much for watching this. We're embarking on this new project. We're not exactly sure what the mountaintop of it looks like yet, but we're having a lot of fun with it. And as many of you have probably watched me, followed me, messaged me, and that sort of thing, you know that I've been in radio for years, love radio, it's really, really fun, and I took on the project 91.75 KISS FM in Pattaya a little while ago. But it's an antiquated brand, if you will. And so Robbie and I are coming up with this totally new brand, which is basically The Spot. And so you can go to thespot.fm and check that out. There's bkk.fm if you want to check that out too. But I definitely just wanted to say thank you so much for hanging out with us here as we do basically what Robbie started a little while ago, which was interview with an expat. He just interviewed me, and we had 2 or 3 interviews, and they went really well. And he has a lot of friends and colleagues that are like, how does that guy do what he does? How do you do what you do? Robbie's about in his 2nd year of travel back and forth to Thailand. Definitely came, and in November of this year, one-way ticket to Thailand. And, you know, I mean, he'll go back to the US and I'll come back to the US. My goal in 2019 in November was Gracie and I are going to move to Thailand. We're going to do it permanently. We lived in Cha Am for a while. And then the pandemic hit. And so I haven't been able to come back here and be basically in a beautiful area where I got to grow up with, as far as I'm concerned, the best parents in the whole entire world. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. And to give you an example of just how lucky I am, Gracie and I today are at The Dump, which is basically a giant landfill, but it's also like, they all call it a transfer station because that's where you put your old garbage and stuff. But they also have this thing called the swap shop because, you know, probably in your life at some point you've thrown away something and you're like, this is no value to me, but it's value to someone else. One man's trash is another man's treasure, right? Well, today and every day, every week that we've gone down there and thrown something away, I thought, you know, it'd be really cool if we could get an umbrella. And so this is what I picked up today for free. And so this is a pretty damn nice umbrella. Yes, it's got a hole in it, as you can see right there, but and a little one up there too. But it's got really high quality nylon threads with some really nice brass pulleys. And, you know, I mean, it's made to go underneath a bench, right? So what I did is I whittled a little bit of the bottom and then I put a nice big piece of wood in the top and used a sledgehammer and pounded it into the ground. And so now Gracie and I have our little oasis right out here inside that, underneath that shiny red ball as part of our oasis. So anyway, I just wanted to give you guys an example of why I believe I'm the luckiest guy in the world. And I hope you can go into your bedroom or your bathroom and look in the mirror and say, no, Mike, you got it all wrong. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. Because I really hope that for you. And, you know, Robbie and I have this outlook towards life, and it's one of the reasons why we do this. We do this live stream because we really want to like focus on the positive. Robbie always says, live your best life. And I'm always saying, live the dream. Because if you're not living the dream, you're doing it wrong. And with that, I just wanted to say hi, say thanks for coming, you know, hanging out through the break. And, you know, please ask us questions. If you don't get your question answered during the live stream, we're both very, very sorry. But I want to let you know, you can always email me at livemyassoff@gmail.com. You can always email Robbie at walkinginmyshoes2020@gmail.com. And again, with that, it's Mike's.
Gracie planting pineapple?
At Gracie planting pineapple in New England. We'll see how long that lasts. From LiveMyAssOff.com, saying I hope you're living the dream. Because if you're not living the dream, then you're definitely not planting pineapple in New England. Talk to you soon. Ciao.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are back in my backyard, and Robbie is having select. Oh, yeah. Do we want to talk about that? Do we want to talk about how amazing 7-Eleven is in Thailand, as well as the cool milk that you can buy?
This little yogurt drink, which I encourage all of you to buy it when you're in Thailand, is freaking amazing. And I have no idea how to say it, but it is lactose free. So there you go, guys. Boom, 7-Eleven. Have your can of Pringles ready, but I don't promote any businesses on my channel.
Oh, yeah, you better. You better start doing it, dude.
Ooh, there we go.
Exactly
Pringles. I'm not going to show the whole word. They should be paying us money for this.
If they could, well, maybe. I mean, I got to tell you, like you said, if I wasn't here, you'd still be traveling in Thailand. If you and I don't advertise for Pringles, they're still going to sell Pringles.
I love Pringles.
I know. How dare they?
7-Eleven. 7-Eleven's amazing, guys. Hey, welcome back. Thanks for staying with us during that break. That's the first break we're taking. So just so you guys know, all of our shows before this were just an hour-and-a-half show. This show, we're going 2 hours.
Wow.
And
didn't know that. Psyched for it.
Bam. Psyched for it. Going 2 hours for you guys. So we will be taking, I don't know if we're taking any more breaks or not exactly. But yeah, so we are here and hanging out with you guys. And Mike, did we got any other questions? A couple of questions came on. Let's see here.
Well, Robert wants a ham and cheese sandwich, but I don't think he's
ham and cheese.
I guess you could run down the street and get one at a 7-Eleven.
Dude, 7-Eleven ham and cheese toaster, the little toaster deals. If Robert's talking about those, dude,
that's true. Those are pretty
get
nice.
over here. I will buy you one and buy me two just to have it with you, because those little toaster sandwiches at 7-Eleven, they cook freaking awesome. Cheese melting down your face.
Yeah.
Love it. Oh, man. And
it's
these little drinks to go with it.
And they're so cheap.
Value add. So freaking cheap. So I'm hoping that's what Robert is talking about. Let me know, Robert. I'm curious.
Let's talk about the cost stuff a little bit. But let me just once again touch on, lifestylejuicery.com. And honestly, if they weren't paying me, which basically they aren't, lifestylejuicery.com, my buddy Jamie, who's the CEO, it's a great company. And he employs Thai people. And, he's a foreigner. And so he's got 4 Thais and all of this. And anyway, the cool thing is that Chris mentioned, but did they deliver outside of Bangkok? The short answer, Chris, is they absolutely do. And what they do is, because it's relatively inexpensive, and this will dovetail us into sort of the cost of life there, is they're able to give a guy a case of juice and he gets on a bus. And so they've delivered to Hua Hin, they've delivered to Pachap Curry Khan, and they absolutely delivered to Pattaya, but it's just, they're out of Bangkok. And so the paradigm in Bangkok is basically you get stuff delivered. I mean, I know for me, in my condo, there's a 7-Eleven literally across the street. And I know Thais, they get on that little app and they basically have stuff delivered from 7-Eleven across the street. So delivery is very common. And and so I think that, to that point, thank you, Robbie, is that we'll basically talk a little bit more about cost of life. And the reason I say it that way is because so many people talk about the cost of living, but I think what they do, quite frankly, just to get views on YouTube, is that they talk about the absolute minimum cost to survive is more of the accurate display that they're making. They're like, look, I have my rent and it's $396 a month, and then my cell phone is $12.13, and then, so basically it only costs $419 for me to live, and then plus or minus, I go to 7-Eleven once a month, and I'm able to... No, dude. I mean, look, there is a real cost to life. And here's the other thing to the whole, stuff happens. So whether you need to spend an additional 30,000, or mine is 48,000 baht a year for health insurance that basically covers everything, because I hate copays, or you just want to buy something like that Robbie has right there, some Hello Kitty backpacks, which of course, I don't even know why Robbie needs to work, because his girlfriend obviously owns Hello Kitty, the global brand. But you're going to be really impressed with the ROI, basically, that you get on the money that you spend on your condo. Robbie's at the beach. He's $400. I'm in town. I'm less than $400 up in Bangkok, but I have, it's a different paradigm, and I can go to Pattaya as easily as he can come up to Bangkok, right? So we have this ability to kind of move around.
So let's go to the next thing here. What Mario just asked here. I think it was Mario. Let's see here. I'm going to put it up there. And he's right. Nope. Maybe it wasn't Mario.
No. You don't want to survive, dude. You want to live properly. Yeah. I really like that.
Yeah. Totally. It's not about just living to survive. And like Mike said, I've done several YouTube videos of cost of living, and they do well. But my videos aren't the bare minimum of how can I survive on 100 baht a day, which is doable. However, that isn't. I like living properly. I'm a guy who owned a freaking BMW. I had a big house, 4 bathrooms. I mean, we're talking. I had all this stuff, and I'm going to come to Thailand and live on 100 baht. Hell no. I live in a nice condo building now, and it's cheap as molasses when it comes to inexpensive compared to California prices.
Totally.
So myself, being from Pismo Beach, California, which is a very expensive place in the United States, rents at where I live are $2,800 and up. That's
Yeah, for like a one bedroom.
$2,800 for a one bedroom, one bath type home.
Yeah.
And craziness. And then I live over here in Thailand properly. And I love that word properly because, not that I have to live so extravagant, but in Thailand, my money goes so much further because one thing, I love Thai food. The other thing is I now love 7-Eleven. I mean, and there's things to do here, and it's very inexpensive. So I'm going to give a couple of examples. Inexpensiveness and living properly, like Mike mentioned. You know what? My condo here is 13,000 baht.
Okay.
And with a motor scooter, I pay 1,500 baht. So 13,000 baht.
Which is a smoking deal on your motor scooter.
Smoking deal.
Mm-hmm.
And that covers insurance too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then I pay for utilities. Now, when I'm here, of course, I run the air conditioner like it's freaking Montana. Okay, let's just put it that way, guys. So I'm spending total utilities about 2,000 baht when I'm here. So that's 15,000 baht for my condo plus utilities, and that's kind of high. So let's overestimate it. And then my scooter being at 1,500, we're at 16,500 baht. With the current exchange, you are looking at 580 bucks.
Yeah,
where am I
like
at, Mike?
that.
You might have a computer up.
So what if there was only a global information? What did you say? 16,500?
Yes. What am I paying? Drum roll, people, because you guys are going to be shocked about.
You're at like 465 bucks.
Okay, dudes.
But again,
not even 500 bucks.
That's just like that's the basics, okay?
But that's living properly.
This is Mrs. Somerville, by the way. This is the mighty Gracie.
And there she is.
There you go. So,
I'm looking forward to meeting Gracie. I've never met
Oh my
Gracie.
God, yeah. That's definitely it's going to be awesome, dude, and we can double date.
Yeah. It would be cool. And my place is freezing cold, just like Nomad just said. I mean, dude, Mike would freeze here. It's like an icicle.
But I have two air conditioners on in my condo most of the time, and I run the air conditioners with the windows wide open. Oh, this is also Mrs. Somerville. This is the old. How you doing, Mom?
I think she's ready to come to Thailand.
She is. Absolutely. You are ready to come to Thailand, aren't you?
That's right. That's right.
Easy.
An airplane seat where I can sleep.
Where you can sleep? That's not a problem. Robbie and I know how to do that.
Hi, Robbie.
Boom.
She says hi.
Good to meet you. Hi,
Thanks,
Mom. There we go.
So that's who lets me hang out in the backyard.
So you guys, Mike just did the math just now at $500 for the necessities. And again, I did a video about 2 months ago that was the cost of living, which is I took exactly a month and I had $2,500 budget and I wasn't struggling to fit my budget. Trust me,
Totally.
I didn't do the math until the last 2 days and I'm like, whoa, I'm at $2,490. I went out to eat every single day. And I'm with my Thai girlfriend. She's going with me every single day. We're motor scootering. We're doing stuff. We're going places. On $2,500, you're gonna live a freaking awesome life here in Pattaya. Bangkok might be different, and I think Mike should kind of tell us real quick what to expect in Bangkok budget-wise.
So
live properly. Yeah,
I think the live properly thing. I mean, there were for a number of years, and definitely less now, but for a number of years, there was like live in Thailand for $1,000, or maybe in air quotes like a king. But again, I would submit that your definition of king differs certainly from the Thai king, but different from how I define king. I did want to say, Stuck in Florida, thank you so much for coming by. You are a longtime person that would watch my streams, and I'm really honored that you come by. Mariano, obviously a really good friend of mine, and thank you for saying hello to Gracie, as you guys always do. The cost of, and that's why I call it the cost of life, because what we just talked about were three basic things. And it has nothing to do with waking up one morning and saying, you know what, I live here in Jomtien, I want to go over to Koh Larn, right? Yeah. And to your point about Bangkok, sometimes I wake up in Bangkok and say, you know what, I feel like going to Koh Larn right now. So I take the bus down to Thailand, take the bus down to Pattaya, or I take a cab down to Pattaya, or I rent a car and drive myself to Pattaya, right? And it's all these different options. Buses, I mean, I'll give you an example of how ridiculous, very comfortable transportation is in Thailand. For Gracie and I to take the bus from Bangkok down to Pattaya, it cost 119 baht for each of us. This is
They just raised their prices, Mike.
What is it now? 126?
130 baht now.
Now, wait, is that from where you get it?
That's from the airport all the way to Jomtien.
Right. And that has been there. I'm talking about from in Bangkok at Ekamai. You take that bus down to, But the point is that it's free, effectively. You know, the way that I describe stuff. You know, we have a word in California that Robbie and I use when we talk about a bus that needs to drive for 2.5 hours, and it basically costs $5, and that word is free. And it's air conditioned, and it's good enough
and fast.
Sure. And it's fairly fast.
Crazy bus drivers.
And on the way home, right. And then on the way home, like I can get off earlier, right? You just tell the bus driver, hey, you know, pull over here. I live in South. But the point is that in Bangkok, I will submit to you that Bangkok and Phuket are the most expensive cities to live in.
Yes.
Phuket's not a city. Areas to live in Thailand. Now, I will also tell you that if you are on a super tight budget, over the last couple years, the cost of life in Bangkok has gone up anywhere from 20 to 50%. But that is okay if what went up 50% cost $1 yesterday and it costs $1.50 today, because you're spending US dollars. If you are living in Thailand and you are earning Thai baht and you are spending in Thai baht, and I can tell you, I spend in Thai baht. I earn in US dollars, so it's a little bit of a difference, right? This is about a 35 times uplift. But the point is that it can be more expensive. Additionally, I can tell you right now, if I were to take all of my stuff and be like, I'm going to reproduce all of this in Bangkok, it would cost me more to live in Bangkok than it would to live in Coronado, California. There's a couple of reasons for that. I lived in a single home on a mini estate in arguably one of the top 10 most expensive places to live in all of California. Robbie is in the top 9. Okay? It's not cheap to live on either coast, quite frankly. But also, if I needed to, well, first of all, it's impossible to buy an Acura. They don't sell them in Thailand because they only make right-hand drive cars. But to basically buy a all-wheel drive Japanese luxury vehicle, that would cost infinitely more than the one that I got. If Robbie were to reproduce his life and get himself a 5 Series M3 BMW in Thailand, it would cost him 2 to 3 times more than he was paying in the United States, because there's a ridiculous import duty on that sort of thing. Mercedes, same thing. You want to drive a Toyota or a Mitsubishi, you can get a smoking deal on that. Dave from Gotta Love Thailand, he got a killer deal on an electric Nissan because they assembled this silly thing about 40 miles from his house. So if you think you're going to like basically live the way you live in another, say, let's for the sake of argument call it first world or overly developed country, quite frankly, you can't do that. So, but the fact is, because for example, like Robbie and I, like living in a, how big is your condo? It's about 40 square meters, right?
My condo, I think, is 37 square meters.
So 37 square meters. So basically, it's about 400 square feet. Now, a lot of people in Pismo Beach, San Diego, Coronado, same thing. They would be like, hey, so, like, I would have to live in a prison if I were going to live in a 400 square foot, like, place in California. And I get that. But your lifestyle, that's the other thing that changes significantly. I prefer to walk to the market where basically fish is laying on a table. No ice, no refrigeration, and you look at the fish, and we look at the one that's still flapping, and we're like, well, we want that one because it's the freshest. She grabs the fish, smacks it on the head and kills it, chops its head off, rips the guts out, gives it to
Oh,
Gracie,
boy.
and $3 later, I have some of the best fish I've ever had in my entire life. That might shock you on day one if you leave Pismo Beach and get into business class and show up in Bangkok and then take a limo from Bangkok down to my market. And then you'd be like, wait, what? So there's some changes in lifestyle that I think we're talking about, which is also part of the process. I moved from a 4-bedroom house to a 1-bedroom, like little cottage, basically. So, you know, I would prefer to live out of a backpack than have 17 pieces of luggage. 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 17 pieces of luggage was not enough, right? I had to have like my stuff. One of the best phrases that I don't know if I came up with it or I heard it and I'm repeating it was, the best things in life are not things. And I shoved so many things in my life in California to try and make myself feel whole. And today, Gracie and I, like in the video, right, in our break, like I got this umbrella for free. This chair I'm sitting, I got for free. I got it at the dump, guys. Okay? And a lot of people might not even want to admit that in Southern California. Oh, my God, they'll think I'm, oh, my God, I buy my clothes at Marshall's, or I shop at the secondhand store, or I go to the flea market, whatever, to buy my shoes or something. A lot of people are not into that. I get so excited to tell people that I went to the Pattaya night market, or I went to the Soy Bacau, weekly market, and Gracie bought me a pair of shorts for 30 baht. And so there's a change in behavior, a change in lifestyle, and a change in thinking that I think is at least mildly necessary for you to be able to live. I can live my best life in a 37 square meter condo because the view is epic. But because I'm living with someone who I really, really care about, and she and I share a very same belief. If you come to Bangkok and you start hanging out in a soak, and you're going to Terminal 21, and you're buying Gucci purses, and the woman that you meet there is really impressed with you because you just spent $27,000 on a pair of shoes, and then you bring her down to a 37 square meter condo in Jomtien, you guys might not mesh well, and she could probably be the worst roommate of all time and potentially the worst wife of all time. So, I mean, there's different ways for you to define it. I will tell you that. I mean, back to your question. Yes, Bangkok is more expensive overall. I pay, instead of getting a coconut on the beach in Jomtien for 60 baht or whatever, they're 80 baht in Bangkok. And that's not a lot of money. That's not a lot of Western United States dollars in Delta. But, I mean, it's 30% more. Okay? So, in Southern California, if I'm like, oh, I got this house for $100,000, and Robbie's like, dude, I got the same house, and it cost me $130,000. If we're multimillionaires, it's like, whatever, dude, it's another $30,000. Again, if we're working at Home Depot and we're making $19.50 an hour, that's a big friggin' difference. So that's why I always say, guys will ask me, can I come over to, I had a guy ask me this last week on a call. Can I come over to Bangkok and get a job and make enough money to live? And he's from San Diego. So he's not, life is not, he lives in La Jolla, if you guys know that. And I'm like, dude, and Enrique will say the same thing about the Philippines. Do not come to that part of the world thinking you're going to get a job making the same cash you were making back home. Come to Thailand and come to the Philippines or whatever on vacation. Don't come there working. I would, unless there's a number of sort of novelty things you can do. But the bottom line is that spend your money there, earn your money elsewhere. And with that, definitely. I think Bangkok becomes very comfortable. I mean, you do not need a car to live in Bangkok, much like you don't need a car to live in Manhattan, okay? And so, there's a lot of opportunity there. Additionally, you will hear guys, and this happens. This absolutely happens, and I'm not saying anything bad about what Robbie said about paying 1,500 baht a month to rent a motorbike, to rent a motorcycle, which is basically $50, which includes insurance. That is not common. Okay? It's totally possible, and it absolutely happens. But don't budget your life based on that. The final thing I will say, people say, well, you live in Bangkok, you live in Jomtien, what the hell are you doing? Why are you guys... Come over here, and if you can, if you're seriously thinking about spending your life here, spend a month here. because you need to be able to get a condo. You need to have 1 month of food, 1 month of living, 1 month of going to IKEA, 1 month of paying your electric bill, your cell phone bill, and all of this stuff. If you just do it for 2 or 3 weeks in an Airbnb and you think you have an idea of what it takes to live anywhere, quite frankly, you're misinformed, and you didn't commit to basically learning enough to taking this next course of your life, basically. And
and I'm right there with you. Exactly what Mike said. If you're planning on coming here to be permanent, like myself, again, this transition is going to be a 2-year process minimum for me, and that's because I've explored Bangkok. I'm still going to do more. I matter of fact, talking with Kitty. Kitty's my Thai girlfriend, you guys. The last couple of days, possibly about going to Bangkok and getting a condo there. There's some cool ones off Ekamai, by the way. So looking at going into Bangkok. And yeah, Bangkok is a pretty inexpensive place to live compared to what I was paying and then my current income level. Mm-hmm. So my current income level is not going to change much living here because I've structured my life in US to still make that almost the same income, if that makes sense. Taking that income, bringing it here in Bangkok, heck yeah. To answer one of the questions, is Bangkok a cheap place to live? Well, for me it is. I think I'll be able to get by easily on $3,000 USD a month. Whereas back in Pismo Beach, which I know I'm there, I've been there for 22, 23 years now. You know, my monthly expenses, you guys, I don't want to give you guys heart attacks or anything like that, but it's close to $8,000.
Yeah. For sure.
And that's no joke. And I have a quality of life that, you know, it's a little different, right?
No, but you don't have a 70-foot boat. I mean, you know, that's the thing. I mean, if you had $8,000, okay, first of all, $3,000 at the current exchange rate is 107,000 baht. That is significant.
Bam.
However, Gracie and I are looking at a new place to live, and I can tell you there are plenty of condos in Bangkok that are not in Ekamai, that are not in Asok, that are not in Pramhong, that are over 100,000 baht a month.
Oh, and, yeah.
You know, so I mean, again, the problem is not the problem. The point is that you can absolutely do that. But again, I think it's a difference in lifestyle. It's like, you know, what is my best life? How do I define my best life? And how do I define living the dream? So
yeah, and then we're going to what you said earlier about, you know, go to different places. If you're just coming here for a few weeks thinking you know it all or no, I mean, I don't want to shock you guys. It's just not going to happen, because I wish I could say that, man, I know exactly where I'm going to be, because if that was the case, I'd probably be in Phuket right now, which, guys, I don't want to live in Phuket. But when I first visited there,
sure,
I loved it. I loved Roai Beach. Roai Beach, if you don't know, it's the south tip of Phuket. It's where all the scuba divers take off. It's where all the foreigners live. It's where the foreigners live. But man, it's pretty beautiful over there. The restaurants are awesome. Mm-hmm. Love it there. It was beautiful. But after touring around Bangkok, Jomtien, some of these other places, there's no way I'll go there for vacation. And if you guys are coming just for vacation, hey, make a trip to Phuket. It's beautiful. You got Krabi Islands over there. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
I traveled significantly with and without Gracie for a year in Thailand, because, again, the cost was so low during COVID, and it was rock bottom prices. I mean, I was literally flying to Phuket for $17 round trip, and I was getting hotels on the beach for like 1,000 baht, which is basically like $25. And it is more expensive than that now. It's basically back to 2019 prices, which, again, is decent if you're thinking about it in US dollars. So, I will say that when we were down in Phuket, I thought, hey, this is great because it's COVID. Like, we can get a great place. This is awesome. And at that time, riding a motorbike around Phuket, no big deal. I wouldn't recommend riding a motorbike on the main roads in Phuket now, simply because there is an urgency in Phuket that you don't experience in, say, Koh Phangan or Koh Larn, for that matter, or these other small, you know, Koh Samui can be really busy, and there can be traffic in Koh Samui, you know, on the weekends kind of thing, when a lot of the Thais will cruise over. So, if we had to live in Phuket, as far as I'm concerned, we'd have to have a car. And whether we rent that or we buy that, unless we just want to like stay around one area. And that depends on your behavior. Thailand Rob, from 20 Seconds in Thailand, he lives in Kamala for the most part. Like right now he's like traveling and stuff, but he's not a traveler. He's pretty much, he really loves living in Kamala, and he loves being able to cruise around on his motorbike, and he goes to the same spots very regularly. He has the same friends and that sort of thing. So there's that, if that is your sort of common behavior, then you wouldn't need a car in Phuket or that sort of thing. Phuket, again, Phuket's kind of expensive. I mean, here's how I sort of base the cost of life in various cities throughout the world.
Cost of life. Yeah.
The cost of a Diet Coke at 7-Eleven, okay? So, for example, the cost of a Diet Coke here in the United States, where I am at 7-Eleven, is easily north of $2. You can get them, like, on sale, okay? Or the price of a can of, well, actually, Pringles are kind of expensive in Thailand compared to, but the point is that the cost of a Diet Coke, people say Big Mac or whatever, that's totally false, because a Big Mac is more expensive in Thailand than it is in friggin' Los Angeles. And so, but the cost of a Diet Coke is basically the convenience store. Cost of a Diet Coke pretty much everywhere in Thailand is 18 baht, which is approximately 50 cents. And you will sometimes go to an island. This has happened to me, actually, when we went to Koh Si Chang. It was 20 baht, okay? So it's 56 cents. But the point is that that's actually fairly indicative of, you're like, okay, well, that's 11% more. Big deal. Right, no worries. But for the same, one-bedroom condo that Robbie's got for 13,000 baht, it's simply going to cost 15,000 baht if you're, on the beach in this, kind of a small island, because everything's imported, if you will. When I go down to Pattaya, I love the ice cream cones at McDonald's. Almost everywhere in Thailand, they are 10 baht. In Pattaya, they are 15 baht. Okay? So there's... and
those bastards.
Exactly. You think, oh, big deal. Well, yeah, but 50% more for something, right? In other words, if I buy a used Toyota in Pattaya, is it going to be 50% more than the used Toyota that I buy in Bangkok? No. So travel around and experience all of this stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, I think hopefully that's the big takeaway. But, I'm sorry, I missed that. Did you put a comment up there that I just removed by accident? What was that one?
I didn't put any comment. So I totally agree with Mike. Definitely travel around, check it out. Not only because of the pricing, and we're talking about, cost of life here. One of the things that we haven't really talked about are some of the other technical things. Guys our age, we need insurance. Very, very important. So on part of my journey, this coming up here, I'll be looking for different medical insurance, and hopefully Mike will be able to help us out. Maybe we'll share that in the next couple of episodes when I start getting some prices.
Yeah. Right?
So probably not this one yet. I'm not ready yet. Yeah, but yeah, definitely, no, sure. When we'll start off an episode where we can talk a little more about insurance and stuff like that.
Let us talk about one final thing, actually, in about the last half hour, and relative to sort of some of the notes that Robbie was taking.
Yeah.
The fact that when you enter Thailand now, and actually Chris mentioned this, he goes, I just finished my Thailand pass. So I'm unaware that you still need to fill out a Thailand pass to come into Thailand. So let's talk about that. And then the second thing is that when you are a tourist, meaning that you basically enter Thailand visa exempt, you just stamp in normally for 30 days. Now you stamp in for 45 days, right?
Bam, as of today. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize it was as of today. But talk to me about the Thailand pass. I didn't realize that was still a thing. Is that still a necessary website upload?
My understanding, it's not at all, and it hasn't been for quite a while. You do not need to have insurance at all. The only thing they ask for is your COVID card, your proof that you have your vaccinations. That's all they ask for, which is pretty crazy. Oh, Roof Pizza just kind of confirmed September 1st.
September 1st, there is what? No Thailand?
Maybe that's the question marks there. That will be for the 15 extra days on your visa. So in the United States, you go from 30 to 15. But as for the Thai pass, I can't find it anywhere. I don't think it exists at all. And I believe all the all the regulations, I forget what they call it, are now going to be expired. So the emergency decree, that's what it is. The emergency decree is no longer, and I think that is
Right.
September 1st.
Chris, are you
So
still
that
here?
is no
Because I think
longer
yeah, I
the
didn't.
case.
That's the thing, right? So that's the deal. Like August 31st, there's no more emergency decree, and really all that means is that they can't make, very quick decisions in reaction to potential, COVID sort of cases. But yeah, I thought the Thailand pass was actually over. Additionally, you don't need insurance.
Yes.
Um,
You do not need insurance. I encourage you guys to get it.
Yeah, for sure. So John says it starts the 1st of October. What starts the 1st of October? Like just coming in and getting 45 days? Because I guess, I'm unaware of the dates. It's funny because I know that both Robbie and I talked about that. We're like, hey, so now you can come in for 45 days. And I heard that as well. I read that also. But I wasn't sure of the date of deployment. So that's like kind of interesting. I guess we'll have to do a little bit more research on that. But that's to that point, guys. I mean, if you're coming over here, the point is, do your research. Check with your own State Department.
Embassy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Chris is here. Sorry, what did he say?
Yeah.
Sorry, I meant Asia Pass. Okay, good. And by that you mean
Gotcha.
Air Asia? Oh, sorry. He said, yeah, he meant his Air Asia Pass. So that's simply something you basically give Air Asia a bunch of cash, and that allows you to fly around, for the sake of argument. They have an ASEAN Pass, so that allows you to basically fly around Southeast Asia for the cost of tax in and out of certain things. So okay, John says, okay, so October 1st. Does Kitty know? I guess probably not. I mean, she's Thai. Why would she need to come in and go out?
No, she does. I don't think she knows at all.
Yeah.
I could ask her. I mean, I don't know what she really knows about the visa process. I know one of her girlfriends is trying to get out of Thailand and go to America, and that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, we can definitely have that, because that is an in-depth thing, and the steps you need to take prior to even filling out the first application.
Crazy steps.
Yeah.
But for you guys to come here, this last trip, I came here about a month ago, and honestly, guys, I showed up. Had my vaccine card, I had my passport, that's it. And what's crazy is when I went to check in at my local, very small airport in San Luis Obispo, California, look it up if you don't know it. Anyways, really small area. When the guy was asking, hey, do you have checked luggage? And he was going to put it on the little rollers to go up to the plane or whatever. I go, no. He says, oh, do you have a vaccine card? I showed him my vaccine card. I didn't hand it to him. I just showed it. Hold it up like, oh, yeah, I got it. Here it is. He says, okay. Right. That was the only time I've been asked to show my vaccine card.
Yep.
The other thing is when you get onto ANA Airlines in Narita or Tokyo.
Narita.
See, I totally butchered the crap out of that name, didn't I, guys? Narita. When I got on that airlines, you still have to wear a mask full time.
Right.
The moment you get on that airplane, you are masked up all the way to landing in Bangkok. So
and they
just keep that in mind.
Right.
They do announce it several times. Everybody keeps their mask on for the most part.
Yeah.
Again, I'm falling asleep on that plane, so yeah. So that's it.
I will say that the other thing too is that if you guys are not fully vaccinated, figure out what that means for each country. Robbie recently asked me, what do I need to enter the Philippines? Well, you need to be fully vaccinated. Well, the way they define being fully vaccinated is having basically your 2 shots plus 1 booster. So, for example, if you're a J&J person, then that means you've had 1 shot and you've had 1 booster. If you're basically the others, so Pfizer, for example, or Moderna, right, then that's 2 shots and 1 booster. And I believe Thailand refers to being fully vaccinated as having just the 2 shots, not necessarily having a booster. I will also tell you that if you're worried about any sort of medical, mishaps that might have relative to COVID. Like, oh my God, but what if I land up, I'm on a plane, nobody's got COVID. I land in Bangkok, nobody's got COVID. I get sick, I go to the hospital, they test me, oh my God, I've got COVID. Now what do I do? Kind of thing. Medically, let's say you've got like really bad lung problems. You can go to the Bangsu train station, okay, which is basically the largest train station in Thailand. It's in Bangkok, and you can get a booster shot for free. You don't have to make an appointment any longer as of like March-ish, April. You don't need to make an appointment any longer. You go in, and even if you're there on a tourist visa, basically as a tourist, you can absolutely do it, because that's what Gracie did. We had to make appointments for our first ones. We got our first Pfizer, we got our second Pfizer, and then we got our booster. But it's actually not difficult, okay, to get into Thailand. If you go into the Philippines, it's a different discussion. Hey, Kitty, what's going on? Good to see you. Sadi Kap. She can't hear me, actually. She can't hear me with my epic Thai accent. Oh, my God.
Yeah, so there's Kitty, guys. You guys can all just say hi in the chat. There you go. So she can read. She can't really read the English yet. She is in English classes. And we could talk about that as well. So there you go. Cool.
45 days on arrival from most countries and vaccine card, easy peasy. Yeah, so basically it's the infamous, if you're visa exempt, if you're of the list of countries that are visa exempt to come into Thailand. And to be fair, I mean, that's also the Philippines and that sort of thing. Thailand is very, sort of comfy with their locals. They allow all of ASEAN to pretty much enter. Okay, so visa on arrival from October 1st. Is now increased from 15 days to, okay. In other words, it's an additional 15 days to 30, and both changes are supposed to end in March 2023. Okay, so I think it's increased by 15 days because visa on arrival is 30 days. And so that's great. So thank you, John, and thank you so much, Chris, from Nomad Global Productions. I really appreciate it. Hello, Kitty. So let's talk about the insurance thing, because, when I first came to Thailand, I went to Kaiser, right, which was my provider in California. And I said, what do I need to go to Thailand? They're like, oh my God, you need the Hep A, Hep B, Hep C. You need all these things. 6 months later, you come back for your second Hep, whatever. Typhoid, all of this. And I can tell you right now, I didn't need any of them. And, unless you are going deep in the jungle of like Laos, I would not say that you need to get like all these shots. But to that point, Kaiser covered me 100% for any medical needs I had while traveling outside of California. So if you have Kaiser, just know that. That's pretty awesome. Additionally, if you are from the U.S., I can't speak to other countries, but like in Robbie's situation, and you want to get insurance for international travel, right? All you need to do is have a basic U.S. policy, and then you can get insurance from these travel insurance companies. And for the first several years, like the first 7 to 8 years, I always went with Geo Blue. And I'm not like reselling those guys or whatever, but if you do go to Geo Blue, just Google Geo Blue, because I think it's like geoblueinsurance.com, GEOBLUE insurance.com. The website will look very similar to Blue Cross Blue Shield. But they're basically for international insurance. I got the 1-year policy. It was like $170, and it covered me completely. I had no deductible, and it was great.
But you had to have insurance on top of that, right? Regular insurance.
So the way that it worked is that they basically were able. I mean, again, insurance is a gamble, right? They're like, okay, is this guy 300 years old and does he smoke 6 packs of cigarettes a day? It's going to be a little bit more expensive than a 27-year-old that like does marathons. So, they were just like, oh, wait, does he have insurance already? But I didn't need to have that. In other words, for a medical reason, I needed it to apply for their low-cost travel insurance. Additionally, there's limits to it. You can only stay in the one foreign country up to 90 days, which for most people is pretty good. So I could go to individual foreign countries for like 90 days, and it would cover me up to like 5 million baht.
Wow. So there is another option which I use, and I do resell, or I get an affiliate deal or whatnot. It's called Safety Wing. It is kind of pricey, but for somebody like me who doesn't have traditional insurance in the United States, I use this insurance called Safety Wing. You can go to my website, or if you guys want a link, I'll get it for you. And it pretty much covers you, like Mike was saying, up to it's like 20 million baht, some crazy number. And it covers you for everything. But it is pricey. It ends up being for a month about $50 a month.
And you get it for a year, or you get it for 1 month?
That's $50 every month you pay.
Is that what you do?
Yes,
you pay
$49
every month? Okay.
Yeah. They just automatically take it out of the bank account, and then you keep it, and then of course it goes up with your age, depending on your age. So mine is like 60 some odd dollars. And it has
Where is that on your website?
Program.
I want to share the link.
Okay.
Where is it on your website?
So if you go to,
just
go there real quick. If
There's
you go
home,
to where it says
Explore.
Travel with Me.
Okay, got it. So under Explore,
yep, Travel with
me.
Yep, and you kind of scroll down there, and you'll see Safety Wing right there. That's my reseller. And again, I don't make a whole bunch on that. Yeah. I make like $10 on it, not per month. I make $10 after 6 months. So it's not a way of living or anything like that. It's just something I've used, and I think it works pretty good. And there you go. Check it out. Again, I don't have regular traditional insurance, so I don't have to show proof of that I have insurance to get a discount. It's just the way it is.
Do you
and a lot of
have
expats
insurance in the U.S., like any?
No, I have a non-traditional, what do they call it? Like a co-op type plan.
Oh, I see.
So
yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so basically, when I got sick last year with kidney stones, which, by the way, you guys suck big time. I got the bill directly, and it was $12,000, and I didn't even stay the night, but they did dope me up with morphine and all that stuff.
Is that all they did? They didn't do any surgery?
No.
Taken to the hospital?
Me up.
Ambulance?
No. I drove my son drove me. I couldn't drive a car, and he didn't even have a license. But anyways, he drove me in my BMW, dropped me off at the curb. It was pretty hilarious watching me bend over and just be miserable. Sure. 12,000 USD. And then I just submitted receipts and got a check. Essentially, that's how that works.
This is ER.
So in Thailand, yeah, to visit the ER. So in Thailand, I'm not sure how the medical system works. A lot of it, Kitty was telling me, she pays cash. Now she has a Thai. She has her Thai ID, but she still has to pay money to get premium treatment. So, like getting medication or she has sick with COVID, and so she had to pay to get premium treatment. I think she ended up paying like an extra 1,000 baht or something.
At a government hospital?
So, yes.
Interesting.
She actually had to pay. Yeah, and the medical is out of control. So this is Robert from Asia. Let's just throw that out there because U.S. medical is out of control, and I don't see it being fixed or there being a solution. So guys, one of the reasons why I come to Thailand, which all of you guys should come for, is you don't think about stuff going on in the United States. We're getting ready to enter political season, and and if I'm over there, I go kind of nutty when I look at the way the political system is in the United States. Yeah. And then when I'm over here, I don't even think about it. Yeah. It's wonderful, and the stress level is completely different here in Thailand, and it's worth every penny you pay. So Mike brought up way earlier in our show the cost of life here in Thailand. I mean, Mike, we can go right back to that and talk about, the cost of life if you're not living here. I mean, living in Thailand, they say you have an extended lifetime. I mean, some of these older guys, the life is lasting longer because people are happier. I would submit
you do. I mean, you also got to remember, if you guys don't know this, so Thailand is also one of these destinations that's known as medical tourism, meaning that you get a quote to have your shoulder redone in the U.S. or somewhere, where you actually pay for insurance. Now, if I have this discussion with guys in the UK, they're like, what do you mean? We have insurance. We live in the UK. It's like Canada. We have and then again, they pay additionally in Canada for, premium insurance, if you will, for premium care. And obviously in Thailand, there is absolutely the public hospital system and the private hospital system. And I choose to go to the private hospital systems because from the lens of a US person, my cost is significantly less. I will tell you, though, when I had a full-time job and I had Kaiser that was basically paid for by my employer, the medical care in the United States is outstanding, okay? But it was part of my salary. I wasn't paying it out of pocket. I didn't have my own business like Robbie, like many people do. That sounds great. And so I think that that's something to consider. Because, again, if you're in the U.S., you're earning U.S. money and you're paying into U.S. stuff, okay? So, you know, for someone who's Thai, who's living in Thailand, who's making Thai wages, then the fact that they have to pay $30 baht copay to go to their government hospital is, you know, not even a lot for them. But they have to wait a long time. Yes. I have never waited, ever, to go into a private hospital. I'm talking like during COVID. I just like walk in, I'm having a sore throat, they check my temperature, realize I don't have COVID. Woman with an iPad basically is my escort. She takes me everywhere. She's got gloves on. She's touching the elevator button. Sir, don't touch that. Her English is perfect. She takes me up to the doctor. The medical experience for the money. But I think like Robbie mentioned, what's very, very important, and I refer to it a lot, is you are not distracted. You're not distracted by the cost of stuff. You're not distracted by the politics of the United States. You're not distracted by the fact that, oh my God, I have to have it. You don't even think about it. Of course I have insurance because it's so friggin' cheap. I mean, so to be fair, I was wondering what you meant when you said it's kind of pricey. $50 a month for insurance. We have a word for that in California. It's called free, right? Because let's face it, it's $1 a day, bro. I mean, that is just unheard of. That's 1960s prices, right?
Yeah.
And so that's another really nice thing there. But let me just say that the quality of medical care in Thailand, certainly at the private hospitals where I have top-notch, absolutely top-notch. If you go to Saminiwet, which is basically on Suvarnabhumi, it's just kind of south of Ekamai, there is a guy in the lobby with white gloves playing a piano. You go to private healthcare at the top-tier hospitals in Thailand, which are basically about 70 of them. Bumrungrad is probably a name you may have heard. Sukhumvit Hospital is also pretty good. You know, you go into these places, it is a 5-star hotel entry experience with immediate care, with high-quality doctors. The good news is that those same doctors that work in those private hospitals that make like 1,000 times more money working there that they would at a public hospital, they also work at the public hospitals. And so what's nice is if you absolutely are going to get into the flow of using the Thai medical care system, spend a few bucks on the first day and go to a hospital that is a top-notch hospital. And I'm talking about like literally the best hospitals in all of Asia. Asia's big, okay? So to be in like the top 100 of the hospitals in, you know, Bumrungrad Hospital is arguably one of the top 5 hospitals in all of Asia. Now, Singapore has some really good hospitals too. But go in there, find a doctor for your specialty that you trust. Go to the next doctor if you don't like that guy, if he's like a spinal surgeon or whatever. Find one that you trust and ask him or her. And there's a high likelihood that like on Wednesdays, he's working over at King Mong Kut or something like that. And you'd be like, so if I went into the public hospital, he's like, well, you'd wait 2.5 hours, but I'd do the same surgery with the same knives kind of thing. And so there's always these strategies, guys, that you're not going to figure out by watching necessarily a YouTube channel. You're going to kind of figure this stuff out by living there. Yeah. I also can tell you that I have been to public hospitals, sadly, because I got into a freaking accident. I was driving from Jomtien back to my hotel in Pattaya. I was stopped on my motorbike with my helmet on. So was the person behind me, and we were waiting behind a bot bus, and someone hit me. And I literally woke up. I came to 30 minutes later, and I am in Pattaya City Hospital on Soi Buakhao. And I had all of this work done. I had a 360-degree, you know, X-ray basically of my head because I bruised. I had a hematoma that I got on the side of my face. I had a cut up. I had a nurse on every sort of wound on my body. And 2 doctors came in to give me the second opinion. They gave me a prescription for medication. I left there thinking, oh, my God, thank God I have health insurance, and I'm going to give him my thing. They gave me the invoice, and at the current exchange rate at that time, it was $13.67 for basically an ER visit that I then effectively repeated on my way home. I stopped in Maui and I went to the Kaiser facility there. And because it wasn't a direct bill, much like you, I also got the invoice, $8,600 versus $14,000. I got the same, and in fact, in a couple of cases, better care. There was definitely more warm, better bedside manner that I got when I was in Pattaya. The medication that they recommended that I take, that I got in Thailand for $3, for basically 100 baht, for 10 tablets. Naturally, if you go to a hospital traditionally in the United States, the default setting is they give you the generic medication. And this was made by the pharmaceutical company. And he was going to give me this generic medication. So I showed him the box. I'm like, oh, this is what they gave me in Thailand. Is this any good? He goes, well, yeah, I can prescribe it if it's really expensive. And I'm like, what's expensive? He's like, it's $15 a tablet. So it was $3 in Thailand, $150, same exact manufacturer in the United States. And you guys hear these stories all the time. But because of that, there's so much additive information like this that allows you to live in Thailand without the distraction that Robbie's talking about. So, but what I wanted to do, hey, dude, you want to we'll take a break and then we'll come back. We'll answer some of these questions that I see coming in, which I'm really stoked about. But we had 11 people watching in the last break. They all stayed through. Thank you very much. We got 9 people watching right now. And hopefully they'll stay through this break, and then we'll come back and kind of wrap up. What do you think?
That sounds good, guys. So get your questions and type them in the box.
Awesome. Talk to you guys in about 3 minutes.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, or whenever you might be watching this. This is Robbie with Walking in My Shoes. This is my vlog, my story, and I want to share it with you guys.
So definitely, guys, make sure you check out Wim's Media. Robbie's got really a lot of stuff there, and I really dig the sort of upcoming tour, right, that you're going to be providing. So that's really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's get back to it, man. And we're going to go through some questions. We're at about 1 hour and 50, and we're going to do 2 hours today, which is totally awesome. And
thanks for all you guys who stuck around.
Oh, yeah. Thank you guys for sticking through the break. I really appreciate it. 2 docs in Thailand. One was brilliant. One was terrible. Yeah. I mean, look, I've also had great professors and, bad professors and good doctors and horrible dentists and all of that. It's definitely hit and miss. You can't even if they have like a 5-star rating on Google before you show up, it's not necessarily awesome. But I will submit to you that the quality of care for the money in Thailand is definitely quite good.
Yeah.
Very smart. Definitely. Robert has some actual Thai cash in a Bangkok bank for emergencies. That's a wise move too. And again, like Robbie and I were talking about, have things are going to happen. You're going to get pop-ups, right? I mean, he ended up in the hospital, so be prepared.
So you guys, the one experience I had at Pattaya Hospital Soi 4, I think it was Soi 4, is on my very first trip, I had Bali belly. So if you guys know what that is, that's basically eating something or brushing my teeth with the water or whatever. And I ended up walking into that hospital. They didn't ask for anything, no passport, nothing. And
really?
Yeah. They saw me for free. I walk in, it was for free. And they took my temperature and all that kind of stuff, and I was sweating. They sent me to the pharmacy right down the street and said, I don't need a prescription because you'll just get it. Here's what you asked for. They wrote some letter or some note. And sure enough, I paid, I think, 220 baht or something for some antibiotics, which is way different than the U.S.
You went to Pattaya International Hospital, which is a private hospital. They didn't ask for identification.
Nothing. They said, do you have a passport? I said, yes, I have a passport. It's back at my hotel room. They literally took me to, I guess, what they call a triage room, which is just you sit on a plastic chair. They're going to take your blood pressure, make sure you're not having a heart attack.
Your vitals, yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah, they took the little thing. They beeped you on the head. They did the blood pressure. They didn't ask any questions, like hardly anything.
Wow.
And
okay.
Yeah, it was literally in and out in 15 minutes. And then they had me walk right down the street to a pharmacy that was a green building. It said pharmacy on it, and paid my 200 baht. And
that's great. And that's great. I will tell you guys, this is also another example of uncommon experience.
Okay. So it is uncommon
because at a private hospital, yeah. And if you're talking about the same Pati International Hospital, right there on Soi 4, it's like a 20-story building. Then that's amazing because indeed the care is fantastic. But I will tell you that the other sort of delta you guys are going to experience in Thailand as well as the Philippines is that the private hospitals, they need to have some sort of expectation that you're going to pay. And so while you may walk in and be a foreigner and they'll be like, okay, well, I guess he has money because he's here on vacation. That's, they're going to want to kind of figure out like how that is. So I will say that you got a great deal. I'm not disputing it, but that's awesome. But
and it
guys,
might be just because I was sick.
Be prepared.
Yeah, they saw that I was sick and this guy just needs this. Go over there. So that could have been just all it is. I didn't have to wait anything. Like I said, they took my temperature and that was pretty much it.
No, that's good. I mean, who was it? Patrick. Thank you for coming by the way. He was over in Pati International Hospital. I actually have a card. That's the other thing, guys. This is really cool. You go into these private hospitals and you basically sign up and it's for free. You get a card. So I've done that. The last time I went to Pati International Hospital, I just showed them my card and they're like, oh yeah, they brought up my medical records and everything. And it was really, interestingly enough, I got sick in the Philippines and I was really psyched to be flying back to Thailand. And then I took a bus from Bangkok down to Pati International Hospital to get rechecked out because I totally believe that they're more competent in Thailand than in the Philippines. So, so Pacific Cross is what I have right now, Patrick. So I will tell you that their customer service is fairly good. It was a lot better prior to COVID. That statement can be applied to a number of companies just because of lack of things, right? I can tell you that my agent didn't get back to me for 2 days. I thought it was weird. The poor guy was back in the UK dealing with his dying father. And so that just happens. People weren't dying of frigging pneumonia as frequently, let's say, before COVID. So there's the things. I absolutely renewed. I have I don't remember what their policy is, but it covers me up to 5 million baht. I think there's no deductible. For Gracie, it's cheaper. Shocker. She's younger and healthier. And so the opportunity, again, to get. And as far as I will tell you that I was sicker more frequently in the United States. I mean, I haven't had the flu or anything in Thailand. I've been in Asia. Yeah, I always get sick when I go to the Philippines. I mean, absolutely. I try and drink bottled water. I try and brush my teeth with and all that, But yeah, I basically just count on getting sick in Thailand. Sorry. In the Philippines. I don't believe I really get get sick there. But with that said, we're at 2 hours, guys. And so rather than an hour and a half, we did 2 hours. Hopefully that was beneficial to all of you. Hopefully you guys dug the little breaks that we're doing. We're trying to do some self-promotion as well as promotion of our sort of team offering here on these Saturday live streams. We'll absolutely be back next Saturday. I will still be here in the Boston area. Robbie will either be in Thailand or in the Philippines. Or
somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. We know that you're not going to be, back in California, so that'll be really cool. You'll still be there, boots on the ground, and so I would encourage you guys over the next sort of week. Please come up with questions that you have for us, or feel free to email Robbie walkinginmyshoes2020@gmail.com. Email me LiveMyAssOff@gmail.com if you have any specific questions. And with that, all I'll say is that I think this is going really well. Other people might not. Yep. If you think this is really cool, I would really like it, both of us would, if you would share this with a friend. tell a friend. If you disliked it, please tell us why.
Yeah,
Don't just say,
tell
oh my
us.
God, you guys are lame. I hate the tans you have or whatever.
We're boring.
Yeah, we want it, and we could be. We could be to some people. Again, the guy that like lives in Bermuda, he's like, why the hell would you go somewhere where this food's spicy?
Yeah.
So anyway,
who are these
please,
freaking
please,
guys?
and I do appreciate the praise, but I also appreciate the I don't want to say constructive criticism because a lot of people basically say, well, that was just constructive criticism. You're fat. No, that's not. So. But yeah, thank you guys. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Robbie. He can say his hellos and goodbyes, and we'll move on to our lives.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Yes, you guys be sure to always live your best life, because if you're not living. And definitely with that, just go out there and do it. Go out there and live. So
awesome. Loving it.
And Mike?
With that, it's Mike from LiveMyAssOff.com saying we hope you're living the dream, because if you're not living the dream, you're doing it wrong. And we'll talk to you in 1 week. Ciao. Oh, dude. Oh, my God. Oh,
oh.
dude. Post